This video is dedicated to those teachers in the electricity market who want to give their students the opportunity to gain hands-on experience with the electricity market. In a normal electricity market course, the students gain knowledge about how the players submit bids and offers on the electricity market and how the exchange builds supply and demand curves and determined the market price. They also gain theoretical insight into the most important market mechanisms that determine the market prices, how changes in wind conditions shifts the supply curve and thus changing the market price, and how the demand curve changes depending on whether it is a day or it's nighttime or if it is winter or summer. The tool we use in order to give the students hands-on experience with the power market is the Power Market Simulator, PMS. There is different versions of the Power Market Simulator. There is a education version, an hour version, a scenario version, and an experimental version. But we start here with applying the PMS education version. And there is also on the homepage for the PMS model, there is a guidance in how to use PMS education. And if you want to have further training, you can use the other PMS version, the hour version, the scenario version, and the experimental version. I will now go through the 10 tasks that you can solve in order to get more hands-on experience with the power market. In the PMS education version, there is 3 fictitious areas, VE1, VE2, and HY. And in the first task, you should calculate the area prices and find the price setting utility in the 3 areas. You should use the default settings, except that you should calculate on a weekday during winter time, and it should be between 11 and 12 a.m. In task 2, you should increase the availability of wind to 100% and then repeat task 1. And you should see if the prices will change, and if it's still the same unit that would be the price setting unit in V1, or there will be another unit that is price setting. In task 3, you should build a solar cell plant in V1 of 1000 megawatt in year 2020, and then you should set the availability in of sun and wind to 100% and repeat the calculation. And then you should calculate the price in V1 and which of the units that will be the price setting unit. In the Power Market Simulator, you can calculate production, consumer, and transmission surpluses. You should do that for the 3 areas individually and collectively. When you start the Power Market Simulator education version, there is no transmission lines between the 3 areas. In task 4, you should build a transmission line between the areas V1 and HY of 1000 megawatt in year 2020. And then you should calculate area prices, and you should repeat the calculation of production, consumer, and transmission surpluses for the 2 areas. And you can see how much the total profit will increase because you have built this transmission line. And you should see who of the consumers and producers in the 2 areas will benefit economically from this connection. And finally, you should calculate the bottleneck income and compare this with the income that is calculated in the model. In task 5, you should calculate and find out the capacity of the transmission line between V1 and HY that assures that there is no bottleneck. The bottleneck should disappear at this capacity level. In task number 7, you set the capacity of the line VE1HI back to 1000 megawatt and save the settings. In task number 7, you should establish a power to hydrogen plant of 1500 megawatt in VE1, year 2020. This unit should buy electricity at a maximum of 100 euros per megawatt hour. Then you should calculate VE1 and HY. How much electricity will the power to hydrogen plant consume in the hour in question? And this is year 2024. It's a winter and it's a weekday at hour between 11 and 12 a.m. And then you should explain why this unit is not running full loaded. In task number 8, you should load the saved settings. And then you should make a scenario calculation for VE1 and HI for the period 2025 to year 2040, where you calculate the total profit for the solar cell plant established in VE1. What will be the profit for this unit? What will the model invest in this calculation? Then you should refresh and reload. Increase the investment price of solar cells to 0.5 million euros per megawatt, and then repeat the calculation. What is the difference between the two calculations? In task number 9, you should open PMS hour, and then you should choose winter workday and the hour between 11 and 12, and then go to the supply and demand curves, the bubble diagram for DK1. Where are the gas-fired decentralized CSP plants on the supply curve? Then you should increase the efficiency of the CSP plants to 80% and see what happens. Under availability, you should select DK1. Then you should investigate how the availability of solar and CSP depends on season and time. Then you should refresh, and then you should calculate area prices for the Nordic countries and Germany. You choose winter, workday, and the hour between 4 and 5 p.m. The efficiency level of CSP plants should be 50%, and the availability of CSP plants should be 78%. Then you should increase the availability of wind power to 100% and see what happens. And what will happen here is that the prices, they will become very low. And the owners of hydropower plants with reservoirs, they will not sell electricity at such low prices. Therefore, you should increase the water value. Set the water value for hydropower plants with reservoirs to 30 euros per megawatt hour. How does this affect area prices? Why isn't it the hydroelectric power plants with storage that become price setting? And finally, in task number 10, you can make your own analysis with PMS education and PMS hour. I've made a video with indicative solutions for the task, and you can find the video following this link here.